Hey yo guys, what's up? How are you doing? And welcome back to Mighty for Reals Point. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Well, today is a Wednesday. It's midweek. And for the first time, Chelsea are not playing in any form of European football. No Champions League, no Europa League, not even the Conference League. And that's a shock to the system. But that's where we are. But anyway, I decided to use this mini break to talk about something else today. To talk about something which is not football. But okay, it is in football as well. But I wanted to address a topic that might be a little bit uncomfortable, that sometimes uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about. And understandably, it's very personal and it involves a lot. The whole world is involved in this. Anyway, today let's talk about racism. Let's talk about racism in sport. Let's talk about racism in society. And let's talk about racism. Anyway, a lot of people might think, oh, this does not concern me. But you're so wrong. Racism is thriving. It's a cancer. What is racism? What is this disease? And how does it affect everyone? It affects all of us. You know, whether you're black, white, brown, Asian, name it. This problem, this cancer affects everybody. And I'll tell you how this affects the whole world. Because, believe it or not, we all are interdependent on one another. Now, a lot of my viewers who might be across over to the other side of the world, for example in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, this is a problem they see in the movies. You know, when you say racism, they'll be like, oh, that's in America. It's a problem of the West. Yeah? Which is true to some extent. But it does affect the entire world. Believe it or not, and I'll explain how. First of all, what's racism? For me, racism is terrorism. Yeah? It's meant to degrade, to cause fear, and to hurt others based on how they look, based on their ethnic origins. And, well, I have a problem with how certain things are defined in English. And I'll tell you why. So, if someone kills somebody because of their religion or their different beliefs, you know, if someone, for example, we all know about Islamic fundamentalism. Now, that has been termed as terrorism. But I agree it's terrorism, yeah? But racism is terrorism itself, you know? Let's not sugarcoat this problem. It is terrorism as well, because we've seen a lot of people who've been killed, tormented. What is terrorism and what is racism? So the two are actually the same thing, but we have a problem these days because when you talk about terrorism, you think about Islamic fundamentalism, which is correct, but how about racism? Racism is terrorism as well. Because someone comes out there to make you uncomfortable, to hurt you, to degrade you, to deny you the basic rights. That is someone terrorizing you. So let's not sugarcoat it. And it's thriving. Now, what are the causes of terrorism in society? It's the same for me. What are the causes of racism? The first and obvious cause of this evil, of this undespicable act of another human being terrorizing, victimizing another, for me, is a lack of education. A lack of education. A lot of people think they're educated, but how are you educated? What kind of education are you getting? Now, if you look at Western education, I've been lucky enough to have education from both sides, from the other side of the world and in the West. Now, in the West, they do not teach anything about other cultures and other civilizations. And all you hear is the Roman Empire, the ancient Greek Empire, and things like that. But was that the only civilization in the world? No, it isn't. Other parts of the world had their own civilizations, proud civilizations. Civilizations started in Africa, for example, but that's not taught in the West. Now, a lot of people will grow up thinking they're superior to others. But you're not. You're just not being told the truth. Anyway, so what are the main... How is this evil coming into our world, and how is it transformed to one and another? Because I don't believe anybody is born racist. No. It is something people learn from others. First of all, the role of the media. For me, the media is the biggest culprit. Just take an example. When you look at mainstream media, how they report about other parts of the world. For example, Africa. Every time they report about Africa or Asia, especially Africa, they show poverty, disease, and malnutrition, and all these degrading things. Yes, they're there. But there are parts of Africa that are thriving. They are unbelievable. But you won't see that on TV. So if you're showing your people or your population that, they're going to think, oh, that's all you get from these parts of the world. So every time they see someone from Africa, they'll think they're better than them. So that's the role of the media. Mainstream media has been a big problem, you know. It does not... I mean, take an example how they reported about the pandemic. We were sat here and were meant to believe that, well, the pandemic was... Well, first of all, the names... At first, some people were calling it the Chinese virus. But this was a virus that... First of all, that word is degrading. No, this is a virus. Don't matter how it came from, but it was affecting everyone in the world. Then later, we had spins, people spinning the actual effects of this disease and telling us that it's affecting people of color. Yes, we know this was actually wrong, because the most affected countries in the world were the US, stands number one, lost more people than anybody. Follow that with Europe, especially the UK. No, they lost more people. You know, if you were living in the West and you're seeing this, when you're seeing hospitals overwhelmed, and then you look over the other side in Africa, and I know a lot of people in Africa who've never seen a COVID patient. But if you lived in the West, people were dying in drones. Now the media, were they telling the truth? Now that's racism. That's racism right there, ladies and gentlemen, in the media. Secondly, politicians, our politicians, what do they say? Every time they come and they want to go for elections, what is their number one issue? They raise and get votes and everything. You know? So our politicians are also to blame for this evil and how it's transferring into society. The main important thing here is that we need to respect one another. Everyone plays a part. If you go to your convenience store, you find someone, you know, especially Asian people, will be the ones opening up that convenience store. You go to the hospitals, your nurses, your doctors are from all over around the world. Everyone plays a part. Now, how do we fight this evil? There's two schools of thought. I go back to the civil activists, Dr. Martin Luther Jr. and Malcolm X. Now, they both wanted the same thing, but they had different approaches, how they approached the issue. Now, Dr. Martin Luther wanted peaceful protest, sit-down protest. Yes, it works to some extent. Malcolm X had a different approach, fight racism head-on. And I prefer his approach. If you remember the words, by any means necessary. You know, if someone is tormenting you, you have to face them. heads on. People stop, people who have been subjected to this evil, you need to absolutely stand up to your tormentors. It's just like a bully. You know, if you don't let your bully know that you won't be pushed around anymore, they'll keep doing it. But the most important thing that is we respect one another. You know, that's the message. If everybody respected one another, we would not have this problem. The issue is lack of respect for others. Yeah. Now, how does this affect sport and football? We've all seen these bad pictures of England fans subjecting abuse to England players, their own players, represent their own country just because they've missed a penalty. You know, how do we deal with this? For me, it's racism is terrorism. You know, how do you go ahead and you try to degrade somebody like that? So we need to respect one another, ladies and gentlemen. And if there's respect and the education that we're giving to everybody should reflect everybody. Everybody should have a piece of that education whereby you're taught about other cultures. And then if we educate everybody, we will understand that everybody plays a part. I'm mighty for real. Today's point was racism, society and sport. I hope you like this episode and I'll catch you in the next one. Respect one another, guys. I'm out.